The meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? Asked Roseanne the robin one day from out of the blue. Sam the dog merely barked because he had no idea what was the meaning of life. Merle the squirrel was clueless as well. Let's ask Oscar Owl, chimed in Myrtle the turtle. He knows everything. No doubt he can tell us the meaning. Unbeknown to the three, Oscar had been listening carefully from his perch high in the oak tree. Ahem, he said in a deep guttural voice designed to get the trio's attention. Are you sure you want to know the meaning of life? It might be more than you can handle. People have been known to lose their composure over it. Why is that? Asked Sam. Because it does not fit well in with their most cherished opinions. Why is that? Repeated Sam like a broken record. Well, most of us believe life must have meaning to be meaningful. Well, doesn't it? Said Sam. Not necessarily, Oscar replied. Actually, life is empty and meaningless, and it doesn't mean anything that it doesn't mean anything. A very wise man said that, and I believe it's true. Oscar, are you serious? Life has no meaning? How can one go on living if he doesn't believe life has meaning? It's absurd, the nuttiest notion I've ever heard. Well, we'd all be insane if we believed that. Aren't we all a little insane? Said Oscar. After all, what is insanity but being out of one's mind? It's not a bad thing necessarily. One is perhaps most sane when he's out of his mind. Why is that? Sam continued doggedly. Because most of us don't live our lives in the real world. We live in the context of our mental concepts. That is, we live in the context of what we believe is reality, when in fact the context of our lives is often the furthest thing from reality. How do you figure that? Said Sam. Well, take North Carolina for instance. What is North Carolina? It's a state, said Sam. And what is a state? Oscar intoned. A state is a territory, a place, a piece of land bounded by borders. Have you ever seen the territory or the place called North Carolina or the borders of the state? Well, of course. Just look around. All the land we can see for miles around is North Carolina. When you get to the end of it, you're at the border. What a silly question. How do you know when you reach the border? Asked Oscar. The dog looked quizzically at him. That's a stupid question, he said. You know you're at the border because there's a sign there that says so. Or at least it says you're entering another state, like Virginia or South Carolina. And how do you know the other state, the one you're about to enter, is there? Well, doggone it, the sign says so. Suppose I'm entering a state of extreme frustration. Is there a sign that tells me that? Well, no, but that's a different kind of state. That's a state of mind, and it has no signs. By the way, what did this so-called wise man do anyway? Sam continued. He must have been a Fruit Loop of the first order. Actually, he was quite sane, said Oscar. How do you figure that? Said Sam. He did not live in his mind like most of us do. His mind was mostly a state of inquiry, and he went there frequently, but he did not live there. Where did he live? In the meaningless emptiness of life, where all creation begins and ends. What a Fruit Loop, said Sam. This is a chapter from a book called Staples' Fables, which I've recently completed. And Staples' Fables is based or patterned after the old Aesop's fables of classical Greek. And my name is John Staples.